Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Listen, Kristi. I'm Liz.
Kristi.
And we're here today with you. I hope you're watching, because we have one of the most fabulous, hands down fabulous photographers, humans, friends that I've had the pleasure of meeting since meeting Kristi.
Isaiah and I have been friends, close to 20 years. Yeah. And absolutely zero ego. The most humble human I know. One of the most talented people I will ever know.
Until just now, I'm no longer humble. I'm going to frame that.
We have so many great stories. But you could write 10 books just on your Hollywood stories, people that you shot.
I could write a book about just the people I've met through you and the hilarious adventures we've had. Just here. Yeah. So
I just keep thinking about, like, people would come and visit the ranch, and here would be Isaiah and possibly Jorge doing makeup, and you see, like, the lighting crews. People are like, what do y'all do here? Oh, just, famous Playboy photographers come, and they shoot people all day long.
Well, yeah, so take us back to how you actually met Isaiah.
I met Isaiah through your ex-wife.
Yeah.
And may she rest in peace, Alexis Vogel was one of the most magnificent. She was the celebrity makeup artist before they even existed.
Yeah.
She gave Pamela Anderson her signature look, and Nicole Smith. Yep. But the list goes on and on. But that cat eye, the pale lip.
And you met her when you were in LA?
Yes. So I met her in the late 90s, and she's just fantastic. And she was so ahead of her time.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a YouTube the other day. She was selling her kit.
Yeah.
I mean, she, QVC or HSN.
Oh, yeah, like the perfect cat eye, the perfect liner.
But there was nobody doing palettes prior to her creating that.
I don't think in the sense that someone had their own kit as a makeup artist.
Right.
It was a super company.
Right.
This is our new palette. Yeah.
Right.
Whichever one, and there are plenty, but there wasn't a person, there wasn't a name, behind it, to my knowledge. Yeah.
When you met her, obviously already a brilliant photographer.
Yeah. Well,
but so you guys met, and then at a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And how old? I have to know, just because I love the details. You were how old?
I think I was 26.
And she was?
She was 51, maybe.
And just, you met, the sparks flew.
Yeah. It's not like a really important detail, but I always had a hard time even imagining dating people my age. I think I was always a bit of an old soul. I admired strong people who knew what they were after, what was up and down and good and wrong and all these things. And so I would be hanging out with kids, and I'm hanging out with the parents going like, they're idiots, aren't they? Like, yeah. And I think meeting someone who was a bit older than me, little did I know I was going to end up being the older person in that relationship. But that was definitely something that was attractive to me, that is kind of like, look, this person knows what's going on. So we had a lot of fun. And that was one of the high points in my life. Yeah.
Her standards were just up here, and she
Yeah.
wanted everybody. In other words, if I busted getting up and I have to, spending 4 hours or whatever with you in makeup, everybody else should be bringing their A team as well.
Yeah.
She really taught me a lot about things like that, and that you have to delegate. And then she was always there. Why did you do that? Why did you do that to somebody else? Mm-hmm. One of the favorite stories I had, and you have to tell it that you have, is Pamela Anderson in the shower.
Oh, gosh. That was the first day we actually shot. I think I had met her before.
That's the first day that you shot with Alexis?
That was the first day I shot with Pamela.
Oh, gotcha.
Alexis and I had been pulling off little shoots here and there because obviously most of her career was Playboy and other, fairly big budget projects.
Guess Jeans.
Anna Nicole, and there's just so many. The list is gigantic. And here I am, a wedding photographer, more or less. We kind of had a romantic connection, but I didn't see us working together. That wasn't really the thing. One day we were leaving the house and on our way to go, I think probably get dinner. And there was this girl and her boyfriend, and they were shooting. And she loved his look. She's like, wow, he's got such a great look. And he's like an R&B singer, up and coming. And she says, would you shoot him? And I'm like, yeah, I would shoot him. So she stops him and says, hey, we're going to go eat. But if you guys are out here when we come back, let's make something. And that was the first time we went down into the LA River, which was highly illegal. And I was like, you can't do that. And she's an absolute rule breaker. She grew up in the Valley in the 60s and 70s. And, so it's just kind of like, there are no rules to her. She's just whatever. And I'm like, this is a terrible idea. I'm going to stay up here on the bridge while they're down there. And we ended up shooting these really, really cool shots. And she would just, when I would get the shot, like she thought she was looking for, she would clap, and she was just so happy. And I loved that look on her face. And I was like, whatever we can do to keep making this happen, this is great. And so we ended up shooting her dear friend, Sandy Taylor, who's one of the most published Playboy models of all time. And we made stuff that I'm still proud of now. And so that day, that fateful day, we were doing this ad for crazydomains.com.au, which is an Australian, not version, but that side of the world's GoDaddy, if you remember that back in the day, okay? And so they were trying to make an ad that would get banned. They were like, we're going to make an ad. It's going to be so cool and so sexy. They're not going to allow it on the airwaves, and you'll have to search for it and find it. And all of the web gurus would flock to it, and like it was Pamela Anderson in a banned ad. And so we got Pamela Anderson and Nicola Simpson, and they were both in gold bikinis. And the idea was they're going to be at a table where there's a board meeting going on, and one of the guys is going to start daydreaming. And the whole thing's going to go into super slow motion, and it's going to have sexy music. And we're going to have cream come flying in and splash across them. And I'm immediately just like, you got to be kidding me. Oh, right. The ad's supposed to get banned. This is exactly how you're going to do it. And what I didn't realize is it was none of my business. I was doing behind the scenes photos. I'm sitting there doing stills and, wonderful things, making a little cookie sandwich at craft services. I was just having a field day. And they had set up, instead of cream, flour and water. I think someone had heard that cream could get, infected, and Pam is a vegan. So you don't splash her with cream. It's just keep it off the set, which is probably why I was stacking Oreos. Anyways, flour and water, unbeknownst to me at the time and the rest of the crew, was paper mache. It's how you make the glue to make, wheat paste, I guess. So it had started to set up during hair and makeup, and this stuff's been sitting there for like 2.5 hours, maybe a little more. And the first shot, which is supposed to be across the body so that we can save hair and makeup for a couple of shots, goes right at her ear. And it's just splash across the whole thing.
And how long at this point had she been in hair and makeup?
She had been in hair and makeup for at least 2 hours. And the stuff had been made, I think, a couple hours before that. So it's probably been sitting there for 3-4 hours. And it still looked like liquid. It's perfectly fine. But down at the bottom were these little balls of glue. It really started to form the gluten or whatever it is. And they're like, okay, great, let's go change. And she's off to the trailer. And someone comes and taps me on the shoulder and says, you need to get to Pam's trailer now. And I'm like, me? Now? And they're like, now. And I'm like, I got these cookies. And so I go, running over there, and everything should be fine. And Alexis is looking right at me. And if I had been told that,
Now, were you and Alexis, you weren't married yet?
I think we were married at the time. Or it was right before. I think it was before. Anyways, if I had known that sort of, it's like being in a relationship and getting married to someone is going to have this phrase come out of someone's mouth, it probably would be on a brochure, and I would have done it a long time ago. She says, you need to get in the shower with Pam now. Okay.
If I have to.
Yeah, when your wife says get in the shower with Pamela Anderson, you figure it out later. Anyways, and I was, just, immensely attracted to Alexis, and she was amazing. And Pam was this iconic thing to me, growing up. It was a name. She still is, but it was this thing that you don't think about, I'll know this person. It's Pamela Anderson, Alexis and team had brought this Canadian tomboy, animal rights activist into the limelight as a total bombshell, which to her, I think if you ask Pamela herself, one of the smartest people I've ever met, one of the hardest working people I've ever met, one of the most loving mothers I've ever met, if she thought of herself as a bombshell, as the sexiest person in the world, I think she would absolutely disagree with that. And yet the image is undeniable. To the rest of us, it's like, oh no, that's it. That's like, she's incredible. So to me, like, get in the shower, I'm like, are you serious? Like, this, I don't. And so she shoves me in. It's not a very big shower. It's in a trailer. And Pam's a bit frantic, and I see it immediately. There's these balls in her hair, and I don't know what it is, but it's gluey and it's sticky. And I'm like, oh, the flour, the water. And we're all starting to put this together. And she's like, it's turning into glue. It's stuck in my hair. And she's emotional and upset, but, you know, holding it together. And I'm just like, well, let's just keep hot water on it. And I'll try to make this story quick because I could talk about it all day. But they're like, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? And I'm like, well, I mean, let's keep it wet. Let's keep heat on it. And no idea what to do. How would I? I'm a photographer, if anything. And I'm like, we need more heat and more water. This trailer is going to get cold, and we're going to then have to figure something else out. I'm trying to think ahead. And we're at Milk Studios. Fantastic place. If you ever get to go in there, it's amazing. It's so many cool things have happened there. And they've got these huge bathrooms with walk-in showers that multiple people can be in at the same time. Talk about inspiring. And so I'm like, let's get in there, because Nicola had the same problem. And every little piece of hair, even on your arm that you can't see, has a tiny little ball of glue on it. So I'm like, let's go indoors if there's a shower in there.
Did you already have the shot at this point that you wanted?
No, they only threw it on her
They
one
had only
time.
started the one dream sequence, and it went right into her hair. So we were not started. I will say Pam gets the first shot the first time, the first take. She may read the script one time.
So she still ponies up that day?
Well, that was the day that was day
pro.
one. She's an absolute gladiator. It's incredible what she does on camera the first try. But we go into the shower, and it's finally kind of quiet. There's no hubbub. It's kind of dark in there, and you're just, you know. And she's like, I want to look in the mirror. Okay. So I'm like fully clothed, my jeans on and everything, and I'm soaking wet, you know, trying to pick these things out. And we go over to the mirror, and she's looking at it, and she's just like, I'm going to have to cut all of this off. My hair is the only reason they hired me. And it popped into my mind, and I started saying it. If I had thought about it, I wouldn't have said it. But it was funny to me, and it just seemed like the right thing. And I was like, I think there's a couple of other reasons they hired you. And she, with tears in her eyes, started laughing. And I was like, oh, good. 'Cause that could have been the end of it.
It could have
been
gone
like,
south
get out of here. You know, I try to be like, I want to be an appropriate person. I have really strict parents, you know, but I was just like, and so we go back in, and we're trying to pick more of it out. And Janetta Barajas, I call her Janet or Janetta, but the most genius person. She's the one who takes Pam's hair, because she's a brunette, to blonde without damaging it. And she's incredible. Absolute humility, would never talk herself up. But if you can get her, get her. And she has this solution. Oh, meanwhile, we had a food truck, and we had tried olive oil. We were, you know, just everything we could do. But she had a conditioner, some sort of a leave-in conditioner, and it was literal sorcery. And they did it, and she spent all night with Pam that night getting it all out. And we started from scratch in the morning. And from what I know, Pamela never brought it up. She's never said another thing about it.
Wow.
And she rocked the shoot. She did everything perfect on the first take. And that commercial is still exactly what it was supposed to be. But that was the first time I really worked with her. And we ended up I was her professional photographer for about, I don't know, a couple of years. And we just did everything that she did on press junkets. We would just, when Alexis would do her makeup,
What do you
we'd
think of
knock
her
out
now
a few
with
shots.
the no makeup?
I'm in awe. I
Me
really
too.
am.
Because look, whether she wants to be or not, she is an icon.
She's absolutely iconic. And more than that, it's the real her. And I love it when someone is their most glamorous self. People look at makeup on someone and they go, you know, that's not realistic. People don't always look like that. And I'm like, do you tell Gordon Ramsay that food doesn't always taste like that? Are you kidding me? Like, this is what you're capable of. No, you don't have to be that all the time. Yes, you can have a grilled cheese sandwich. Yes, you can sit under the blankets with your dog and binge watch something. That's just as human as anything else. But when you have a full face of makeup on and the hair is right and the lighting is right, everyone has a moment. And all of the things that are bothering you, they wash away for just a second. Even if it's a couple of seconds, you forget your name. And it's like, damn, she's beautiful. And that reverence is, It's one of my favorite feelings. It's one of
I
my favorite
always say
feelings to
spending
feel.
time with Isaiah is nature's present.
Well, yeah, because I think when he goes into that description of what he's trying to capture when he's inspired and taking photography and capturing images, he's almost embodying that feeling for somebody else and saying, no, in this moment, the lighting, the hair, the makeup, whatever, the essence of you is so absolutely perfection. And I feel like you make somebody feel comfortable in that for themselves, you know.
You make people feel beautiful, whether before they even have seen the pictures. And then I just remember some of the best advice. There was somebody in the last decade or so that was coming to the ranch to take pictures with you. And she said, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in the next week. And you said, no, don't. Because there's lots of things I can do when you have fullness.
Yeah.
But when you're drawn up and dehydrated, which is the only way you're going to lose.
Well, if you're going to try to lose 20 pounds like immediately, people think they have to be their own ideal in order to win. And you don't. You can fail upwards. You can absolutely feel like trash that day and look at those pictures later and be like, oh, I had it. I didn't feel like I had it, but I had it. And I would rather you knock it out now. And then, you want to do 20 pounds? And we'll shoot it then too. But let's shoot this now.
But Isaiah, there is no one I know that lives in LA or has that is not jaded by it. And you're not.
I love LA. It is jading. It causes you to be more of an introvert than you realize it's going to. But it makes its money by putting things in front of people that they, for whatever reason, can't look away from. And there's an honesty in that. There is a service in that. You're prioritizing people's time. You're saying you could do anything with your day, but boy, have I got 2 hours for you. And we called this movie, Jurassic Park or Terminator or whatever it is. And I love it because we're making things that people will watch again. And positivity, all of those things, wonderful. But you can accept yourself on your own. And you can see Pamela Anderson has accepted herself on her own. And it's fantastic. And you can do that without anybody else looking at you and calling you the best.
Right.
But that gift that you're giving other people for their time is that we're just going to go kablam. And she can do it with the makeup on or with it off. And I freaking love it.
The camera just loves her.
Yeah, it's just she's effervescent. She's amazing. She glows. Her skin is fantastic. But it's not just about, look at me, bathe in my glow. It's, you are important, and I'm going to give you something. And I hope you're going to like it. And it's just, I don't know. It's priceless.
And her story. I mean, she was discovered on the Jumbotron.
Yeah. At the football game wearing a Labatt Beer shirt.
Yeah.
And I think Labatt Beer saw that, and we're like, that's our girl, which they were absolutely right. I mean, she's so human and real and and a tomboy, somebody who actually.
But isn't it so much fun for you when and look, I've watched you probably over the years shoot easily over 1,000 women.
Yeah.
And truthfully, and God knows you probably shot more than that at the ranch, but you make every one of them feel like they could be in Playboy. And that is just such a gift that you don't ever go, look, today I'm just not feeling it. Let's just get this over with. No, when they come in front of the camera, it's like, hey, I'm brand new at this. You're brand new at this. Let's make some magic and make this happen. You can't help but show your best side when you have somebody cheerleading you on like that.
Well, it's funny because Shanna and I were talking just the other day, and we were talking about Isaiah and his capabilities, and when he comes to Texas, how we want to, make sure everybody gets to utilize him for his time when he's here. And, I said something, well, if I could, help him manage his timing better. But then Shanna and I kind of looked at each other, and because it is so innately part of who you are, and your gift, I think, is to be a photographer. I mean, it's just what you're born to do. And I don't know when you first realized it about yourself, but when you want the best heart surgeon or the best architect or somebody to capture and captivate everything about something that's wonderful, I couldn't think of anybody that would ever capture someone in their essence better than Isaiah, because he's so passionate about it. And I think that's what makes it a beautiful thing. It's like what makes a woman feel like she's keeping a memory for herself, and I think that's what you want.
That's what it is.
To give people.
Yeah.
Do you look at some of the celebrities or people that you shot and just go, you know what? I could shoot her with a Polaroid. It doesn't matter. She has that
There are
innate
people
thing.
that you can't mess up. You
And
could light it
then
wrong and
there are
it's
some people that come along that you just go, I just don't understand how this girl got this far. Because it's,
everyone's nice to me. I'll start there. So I usually get the best side of someone, and then I'll meet someone and they're kind of like, she's terrible. Wasn't she terrible? And I'm like, she didn't show me that. I don't know. I didn't see it. Not everyone is photogenic. Beauty and being photogenic are almost unrelated. I remember Alexis and I were at the Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel. We just name drop fantastic locations. And I think we were talking to her friend Sandy Taylor. And we were getting up to leave, and Paris Hilton was there with like a couple of business partners, I guess. And someone said, like, they weren't at the Hilton. And I was like, it's funny. I never thought of that. But the Polo Lounge is irreplaceable, so I'm sure she'd make an exception. And I'd seen pictures of her, but I never realized how beautiful she was. I never saw it until I was standing in front of her, and I was like, whoa, I get it. Like, that's just, and obviously everybody has their own idea of what's beautiful. But I was like, you got to do people justice, because this is like, she's incredible. And then you'll meet someone who, and this is my favorite thing, and Alexis felt exactly the same way. When someone's younger and they're awkward, you might even, I don't know, she might hate me for saying this, but I think Shanna was one of those people where when they're young and they're tall, all you see is this person who's gangly and can't walk right, and they're just having a hard time being a human, But if you know what you're looking at, that's the one. And it's their eyes, they don't sit where you would expect them to sit. But it's just this thing, and as soon as the lashes go on and this stuff goes on, you're like, I think that's the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And it's not even really a chameleon. It's not even a metamorphosis. It's there the whole time. But some of the most awkward people are the most unusual people are the most absolutely breathtaking people, because you got to keep looking at it you're trying to figure it out and you can't. So yeah, I think there are going to be people that it's fantastic when you can't screw it up. You light them from the side underneath with a flashlight, like it's a dark and stormy night, and they still can't look bad. But then there's people who you have to take the time. You have to pay attention. You have to do it right. You can do it wrong. But if you do it right, it's like, wow. And I don't think there's really there isn't anyone who takes a bad picture if you know what you're doing, or if you pay attention, or if you take the time. Easiest way is to be their boyfriend or girlfriend or something, and just be there when the sun comes up, be there when the sun goes down, be there at a baseball game, at the beach. And then it's lucky if you only know the person for 15 minutes, it happens. It happened the first time we shot Shanna. And you're just sitting there and you're fumbling with the camera, and you look up and you're like, don't move. Please don't move. Stay exactly where you are. And I'm going to go. And I had to run and get a strobe and another. So I keep banging this thing. You have to go get, the right lens for it. And then you're like, click. And there's the best shot you've ever shot. You couldn't have planned it. You just had to be there,
Well, and I think you're also invested in the payoff, because you've seen over the years, I'm sure, what a difference it makes in the women or even men. I mean, the confidence shift that it will give to somebody. And if you know that you can give somebody that gift with taking the time to get to know them, or their angles, or what it about themselves makes them feel beautiful, and you get to enhance that, you get to hand somebody basically a billfold saying, here's a pack of confidence, go enjoy the rest of your life because you've got it going on. And it's kind of like a little...
that you can do it. I think it is, and we blame the media industry, and even blame me, because I try to take a really cool picture and I post it, and one person, their confidence goes through the roof, but then the girl who doesn't like her is like, oh, I'm terrible, aren't I? And it's like, no. There is a question in so many people's mind of whether I've got it or if I don't have it. And you look at a magazine cover, and we spent time.
How much of it, though, is timing and luck?
It's timing, it's luck, but you also have 1,000 pictures of which you picked one, and you're like, this is the one that says it. And there are plenty of women that 999 other pictures are also amazing and would ruin your day if you were trying to compete with her. But you look at those pictures and you go, oh, I can't have that. I'm not like that. And my significant other or other people say that I'm amazing, but they're just being nice. And it is so gratifying to take a shot and know that it's like, yeah, we got it. And then you show them that picture. And Alexis was so adamant that this be the first picture you show them. Do not take a picture of them that is not insane and show them the first picture. They have to know right off the bat that they can do no wrong.
It sets the mood.
It sets the tone, yes. And it's like, yeah, this is you. And you know, they won't believe you when you say they're beautiful. They never do. They don't believe stalkers. They don't believe lovers. They don't believe parents, children. They don't believe anyone. If a woman asks you what time it is and you say 2:00, she says, thank you. But if you tell her she's beautiful, she has some qualification for why you said that. You're being nice. You want something. You're stupid. Yeah, anything, but it's the truth. But if you can show her a picture, you don't argue with it. And it's like, oh, it's like, I told you. I freaking told you. And it feels really good to agree with someone about their beauty.
And then it's almost like they're shedding a skin.
Well, they're just like, damn it, I have it. I got it. I can do this. And I might not look like this all the time. Sometimes I am curled up in bed, binge watching something.
Right.
But if I want to, if I ever felt the need to, I've got it. I am TNT. And it's just like, yeah. And then we all feel that and we turn the music up and it's just like the whole day is a party about how freaking gorgeous this person is. And I hope to have the character to match it. But, you know.
So would you say that
too.
that's kind of the one thing that would make or break the difference of like a great photo shoot versus like a just killer, like knock it out of the park is just confidence?
That's what gives you the feeling in the moment. But when I was in school doing incredibly nerdy things with IBM servers, we would take a test. And that's when I learned that when you think you're doing great, you're probably screwing it up. And when you think you're failing the test, you probably aced it. And I don't know how that works, but when you're worried about it and you're like, I think I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. It's probably when you know your stuff.
A self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, there's this, I'm a firm believer that you do not have to know you're winning to win. So it is okay to do the shoot without the confidence. I learned that here too. On your ranch, I was shooting one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, and she was nervous, and she just had this flowing red hair, and she was doing the whole Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands. And I'm like, if you were doing something wrong, I would tell you. And my whole motivation up until this point was to instill confidence. Because I'm a guy, I have more confidence than I should have, right? And it's fantastic. I wish I could just bestow that feeling on other people. But women are generally more cautious, and they're kind of like, I probably don't know what I'm doing. And she was perfect. And I'm going like, confidence is not as powerful as her vulnerability. And it's showing on camera, it looks intentional. It looks like she's doing everything she's supposed to do. And for the first time, I was like, I don't care. I don't care if she's confident. It doesn't matter. She's absolutely irreplaceable and priceless. And every shot was that, and she was worried in every shot. And I'm like, when you do something wrong, I'll say it. And by the end of the day, and I'm showing her these pictures, and she's like, oh. And her mom was like, oh. And we're just like, I don't want to tell her what to do, man. She's perfect. So I value them both now equally. Confidence, it's sexy. It is. You love it when a person, you don't have to like think for a person or tell them, and they're just helping you. You know, it's you just kind of cuddle up, and it's like she knows what she's doing.
Confidence not to be confused with arrogance. I mean,
yeah, but sometimes you can't tell the difference. You know, courage and stupidity. I value courage way more, but on paper, sometimes they are exactly. You can't tell. You don't know. So yeah, I'll take either one.
so do you have a good idea when you start shooting somebody? Like, I've seen you shoot at places that you go, how could he get a picture out of this? It's some kind of background. Like, what do you see when you meet your client for the first time and you watch her getting, dolled up in the chair? Yeah. So I was going to do this, but I think we're going to go try this. I mean, how do you come to develop your style?
I don't know. I still don't. If she's got the hair and makeup done, then we know what outfit's going to work. And then once she gets an outfit that works, then we know what location's not going to work. And you just go down the list. And I think you always win if you start with the girl. The only thing you do wrong is the other way.
And I know this is going to be out to left field, but AI, kind of vague. How is that changing your game going forward? I mean, I hear that most of the top OnlyFans are really AI.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Is that true?
Well, I don't know. I have no idea. I do know that people have AI instances of themselves. There's even portrait photographer or portrait photography mimics where they're like, hey, don't want to hire a photographer?
Right.
Just load your images in. The AI will spit out a real estate headshot. And I know what AI looks like when I'm looking at it. And there might be a time when I don't, but we're not there. Some people know when they're being lied to.
Do you feel like you're having a harder time with some of your clients maybe competing with inspirational images that they bring to you and saying, oh, I want to do this or I want to replicate this? And you're like, well, yeah, if I had 3 helpers and...
I absolutely love AI for inspirational stuff. It allows us to do what Alexis and I had to have a mind meld. It was a magical, serendipitous connection that we both understood each other without trying. And I think it's because her father was a photographer. She knew what she wanted, and I knew what she wanted, and we could just make it. But there are so many visions and ideas that are in the minds of people who feel things but can't express them easily. And so if someone can come to me with something, I don't care how you made it or if you just prompted it and it spit it out. If it's cool and we can get an idea, let's knock it out. And plus, you're coming to me anyways. I don't care if AI brought you to me. Business-wise, we're still working. But I also love technology. I think it's definitely something that is a bit dark when in the hands of the wrong people or in the hands of someone who's lazy. But I've always worked alongside technology. And if it's smart and it's fast and it's going to change things, well, yeah, we're going to learn where it's helpful, where it's fantastic. I'm sure a combustion engine was a bad idea at one point. And if you ask people today, they'll say it's a bad idea now. But there was a sweet spot in the middle where it changed the world.
Can you imagine 100+ years ago, the Wright brothers convincing somebody they were the Elon of their time?
People were telling them if God wanted man to fly, he would have given him wings. Hey, you got to go home with that and sleep it off and try again tomorrow. Are you kidding me? This is my favorite thing about the Wright brothers. I'm a little nerdy, but people don't know they invented the inflatable tire. Tires were solid. Okay, they invented the inflatable tire for their bicycles because they ran a bicycle shop together. That was their job. And I love the latest couple generations and their emotional toolkit and how to handle relationships and recognizing ego, masculinity when it's not real. You know, there's so many things, the toxicity in relationships that they're just like, that's not okay. And kids know this stuff now. They walk around like they're therapists, the stuff they know how to talk about. But I do not agree that you have to have a team of people around you blowing smoke up your butt, telling you that every one of your ideas is a fantastic idea with just positivity. Now, will that cause people who are scared to succeed where they otherwise wouldn't have? Yes, because you're able to borrow confidence from your friends and from your peers. But early inventors, like the Wright brothers, had nobody telling them they were doing it right. They just knew there is something you ought to see. There's something you ought to try. And we're really freaking close.
Do you think they were the first people that ever said, hold my beer?
I don't think they were drunk. I don't know at the time. They did almost, yeah, I think they were more careful. That's a good question. I want to know about the inventors of beer as well.
No, but
but no, seriously,
think
it was
about
that attitude, right?
They were the Elon of their time.
Yeah. They had this beautiful thing, and I don't know because obviously press wasn't available. They might have had a really great Instagram running if it would have been that sort of a time. But they were, to me, the kind of people who just keep their head down, and not in a "don't bother me, don't criticize me" way. But they worked on the project quietly, and when it was finished, everybody published in newspapers and wrote stories and took pictures and all of these things. And so we have press, but they weren't the press guys. They were just tinkers. And those people, I love them. They're my people. I love making materials, but if this is me on set, I narrate what I'm doing. I'm saying, I think I should probably use this light and this there. And meanwhile, the most beautiful woman in 100 miles.
Show to watch is How It's Made.
Oh my gosh, I can watch all that stuff. Yeah, all day.
Oh, yeah, the whole time we were driving back, the last time we did a photo shoot together, I think we're driving in limousine cattle. Where do you think limousine came from? Do you think it came from the name limousine? Well,
yeah, which because they're long. We totally had that discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, how many things? I felt like I learned at least 5 things that I didn't know the day before.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
I want to know how you first knew you wanted to be a photographer.
I had a Panasonic tape player when I was a kid. And I would just press record when I thought something cool was going to happen. And I captured all of these hilarious little audio sections of my family's life. I'm number 2 of 10 kids. And it's chaos. It was organized chaos.
And
because
your
we weren't allowed
mother
to be,
homeschooled.
She
each
homeschooled
of
us.
you.
Yeah.
Saint.
Yeah.
Saint.
A Spartan, really. Really, really good mom for boys. I mean, she's fantastic. She had brothers. She introduced me to Brent Jones, the tight end for the 49ers. He came to our church when I was a kid. And she had the black finger paint under our eyes, and we dressed up, and we all went. It was some mother-son brunch thing. She was ideal. She is. She's amazing. Okay, so memories. I realized that my introverted side could hold on to things that were just magic, that they happened and everyone missed, but I could hold on to it. And I used that tape player to do it. And then when I went away to school, this is like later, way less creepy, I had a camera that I would just, take pictures and snap stuff around school. One day, volleyball game, it disappeared. It was off in the corner up against the wall, and I never saw it again. And my dad was like, you should buy a real camera. I'm like, a real camera? I don't make a lot of money. I can't buy a real camera. And he's like, do you have enough money? And I was like, I have exactly enough money. I have like $10 more than that. And he's like, you should do it. I'm like, that is not fun. That's not sound financial advice. But I took that advice, and I trusted that if it wasn't the right thing, that it was still going to work out. And I got a real camera, and I had like $10 left. And with my next paycheck, I took a course. It was like a 2-day course, and learned what all the buttons did. And I immediately I was just unleashed, and I was taking pictures of everything, and a snowball fight. And fast forward to my friend asks me to shoot her wedding. I'm going to shoot your wedding? I'm an amateur. I have fun. I shoot snowball fights. That's stuff I want to remember. It's one I want to keep it. You should hire a professional, and I'll come, but I'll do it. And she says, all I want you to do is what you do when we're having snowball fights. We're in Michigan. Okay.
Storytelling.
Yeah, well, it was this obsession with joy and happiness and the moments you want to remember, because there is so much grief. You don't get to pick when you're crying. It freaking happens. It just walks up and says, guess what? This is a sad day. And you almost don't get to pick the times when you're laughing. You can try a little bit harder, but I'm like, I'm going to keep all of this great stuff so we remember how fantastic this was. And we did it at that wedding. That was how I approached it. And brides move way slower than snowballs, and they dress the same. It was perfect. Everything went great. And I still love those pictures. And I was like, this is it. I came out here. I was going to school to do, I thought I was supposed to do computer science. A lot of the tests were hard. No, the computer science tests were fine, because my dad worked for HP, and I had computers growing up. I built them as a child. And so that was my thing. But everything else, microbiology and cytoplasms and psychoplasms or whatever, I was losing it. And I thought, I'm just going to do like a bachelor's degree in something simple, communications. And the photography became something that I was not only busy with, but I was getting paid to do before I was even done with school. And it stuck. So yeah, it's what ended up, that's how I met Alexis, just as a...
How many women do you think you've shot in your career?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. There's 365 days a year. I do 52 weeks. I do 2 people a week, maybe 3. When I come out to your ranch, oh my gosh, in our heyday doing Diamonds and Dirt. No, I don't know. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure either, but I know just about everybody I've ever known.
And you've worked with some of the most incredible makeup artists across the country.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from Alexis.
Yeah. It's a short list when you're real. It's like being a bartender. And there are fantastic makeup artists that I've not worked with and that I would love to. But when it really comes down to it, you want someone who's willing to look at you with humility and reverence and some imagination to make this the most heart-stopping thing we've ever seen, And Jorge could do that with his eyes closed. And I wish I could get him back out here to do that, but he's been too busy with Halle Berry. And a whole, host of other wonderful people that look absolutely great when he's working on them and otherwise. But that is really, believe it or not, that is the key for what I'm known for doing. So
Finding what? Just as many wild and talented and crazy.
If the makeup's not right, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what I'm trying to do. I am kind of lighting the makeup. I can shoot people without makeup. It's a different shot. It's a more timeless, soulful sort of shot. But what really grabs people's attention,
You love the high glamorous. Like
I
that's
do.
Your passion.
It's that moment where she never doubted for a second that she was it. And to do that, you have to supersede her expectation. And that means you got to light it. You have to really light it. And for the lighting to hold up, the makeup has to hold up. And if it's done wrong, the lighting shows it. And so, yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm doing it by imagination. We can fix it in post or whatever. It's great. But yeah, it's so lucky to know people who can work alongside and help someone feel fantastic, because it does take a team. There are people in Hollywood or all around the world who are made famous because they have a team. They have people who stand behind them, tell them sometimes what to say, but you kind of create an image that is otherwise impossible for one person to portray. And we all know that. It's hard to imagine it when you're looking at the believable product, that's how you get there.
Okay, so before we say goodbye to everybody, please tell our listeners where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on social media. My main social media is Instagram. Probably still will be for a little while. I.mays on Instagram. I have a couple of them. There's one for the rodeo stuff that we put together. I think you should be able to find a link to it there. And I made one called Mays Portraits because I work for a lot of entrepreneurs and people who need headshots, strong headshots. But it's funny, when you take a shot like that and you love it and you put it next to, say one of Pamela Anderson, people are like, what is this? And it's like, that is an amazing picture. How dare you? But, it's one's very distracting. So I have started putting them in their own little lanes. But
Okay.
I'm figuring that out.
Yeah. Well, alrighty. If you are listening to this episode, we are happy to have you here with Isaiah. And
Yeah, follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and whatever in the hell else is out there.
all right, well, say goodnight, Lucy.
Good night, Lucy.
Good night, Lucy. Wait, who's Lucy?